Starting this hardcore series, I gave myself a big goal: to build an interconnected world full of villages, towns, and cities, where I've built a lot of really cool stuff throughout the 2,000 days survived inside of this world so far. Like trees. Lots of trees. Did I mention I like trees? But until now, my house has stood pretty alone on top of this hill. I'm taking on the challenge to build the first city inside of this world. Hey folks, fWhip here, and welcome to Hardcore Minecraft. Be sure to double check that you're subscribed so you don't miss out on this new journey, and let me know in the comments what you think I should build inside the city. First up, to make progress on the city, I want to fix the wheat farm, as it's really close to working, but it's extremely loud and extremely slow. We've got 49 wheat. Let's turn that off. So instead, I want to make a hopper clock. Now, if I put a stack of kelp inside of here, that should activate it. Kelp goes over, and it trades back. For this machine, apparently we only need one note from the note block every so often. So it should turn on, go for a little while, and then turn back off. Next, I need to get some bees to add inside of each layer of the farm to help the wheat grow faster. For the purpose of bee breeding, I would like to create a small shack right down here. Let's level it off a touch more with some dirt. Next, for the foundation, something like this should work. Turning it into a tiny greenhouse with some glass walls. Then we can solidify a touch. And something like this should work out pretty well. Putting some campfires on any of the sides so that the bees don't hurt us. A lantern out front. With coarse dirt in for the floor, I want to spend some time connecting this up to the main road. And a tiny path like this should do it. Now, these 4 beehives all have bees inside of them. These 4, on the other hand, are empty. We just need to keep breeding until we can get a ton, and it's kind of cramped in here. It should be fine. I can grab some bone meal and get a ton of flowers. Now I just need to wait for the bees to jump out. Oh, there they all are. Hi, everybody. Take a flower. No, no, no. You saw nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everything is fine. I'm just gonna, for no reason at all, extinguish these campfires. I've now got a ton of bees in here. The sun is setting, so hopefully they'll go into the hive soon. This should be enough. More beehives. We'll take the bottom 8 as we know they're full. So is my inventory. Now with it still being nighttime, I need to jump into every single one of these, adding some alliums to the corners and one of the beehives up here, and we're good. All of the beehives are now in, and I'm a little worried as I got a stack of wheat from it, so I don't think these are working. While breeding the bees, I also realized that this system is much more complex than it needs to be, and make it so much less brain numbing, with just a redstone line going to each of the note blocks. So it only goes once. Hopefully this thing's working a little bit better now. Oh, that's so much more peaceful sounding. Next up, it's time for everybody's favorite part: planting a field. However, I did just notice the carrot farmer is dead, so I need a new one. But first, the field. Adding another field to this world brings us up to 21 fields of farmland, and it's starting to look really good. Now, asking you all to subscribe right now would be a little weird, wouldn't it? It's almost like the intro just ended and I did that. No, it'd be so weird of me. I'm not a sellout, of course. Now look at this carrot field. In addition to this, I want to add a small pumpkin patch right over here, as I don't have one anywhere in the world yet. So a little something right back here should be great. This is looking pretty good. We just gotta wait for the pumpkins to grow. And because I can't be stopped, I'm gonna build a small farmhouse right over here. One final step, waxing all of the copper, and the farmhouse is complete. Look at it. Oh, it's so cute. I'm really happy I took the time to do that. Now back to the last field fix for the day: moving a villager into the carrot farm. First off, I started by digging out a new tunnel so I didn't need to build one in the air again, and laid down a new rail track to get the villagers into the new field as quickly as possible, and if I need any replacements again in the future. But this should be everything we need up here, then a quick trip down to send a villager off. And we've got 1 villager left. Perfect. Off you go, buddy. Our new carrot farmer. Welcome home, buddy. You're gonna do great. There haven't been like 6 farmers also in here that have died. You'll be fine. Building, let alone planning, a massive city in Minecraft takes a lot of brain power, which I can't even say brain power. So today we're focusing on the northern gatehouse and the land leading up to it. This needs to be a pretty grand and large entrance into the city. So starting with 2 massive bases, we can work our way up. I want to add some towers onto the corners to break up from the current boxy look we have, which we can just send these all the way up. Both towers are in on the side and it's taking shape. Next, I'm thinking the archway itself is going to be about this tall, and then we bring it forward. Now that is starting to feel like a gatehouse. So from there, I spent some time adding in more of the stone to get the rough outline of our gatehouse in place. So next, I want to plan the road connecting back down to the ground. This should be a good start, and it's got a nice curve to it, but we're going into a city, so I don't think having a coarse dirt road is the right idea. For this, first up, I'm gonna need cobblestone, regular stone, stone brick, then some rooted dirt, which I'm almost out, and regular dirt. And finally, to merge those two sets together, lots of packed mud. Entering the city, I want to start with stone and cobblestone at the top, which then merges down into the packed mud bricks as we work towards rooted dirt and regular dirt in as well. And those work really well leading back into the coarse dirt I use in every other pathway around this world currently. Now the gate itself won't be stone, this is just for the plan. Like I want to use the top of deep slate down here at the base, which I am already really liking. I want to get terraforming so this doesn't look like it's floating any longer, but first I should probably extend the walls all the way out to the mountain and to the tree. Sorry, Wheatfield, I think you gotta go. Adding the trim in front of the wall here as well, and this should work. Next, we need a lot of dirt. And I have 1 box and some change. On the mountainside, I want to make it a little bit smoother so we can have space to include a building like a stables or something, but still having a bit of a harsh drop off right in front of the wall. Their first side is now done and ready for building. And from here, I want to make the other side a lot steeper and descending down into the valley. Connecting the ground to the ground is a later fWhip problem. And man, that guy hates me. Now I want to focus on building up the gatehouse as well as designing the walls. Taking some inspiration from the mud brick castle for the block palette, I need to gather up a ton more mud. But first, my wings are pretty busted, so I need to make a quick trip into the end and fly my way over to the Enderman farm. Next up, we are off to the swamp, where my goal is going to be to gather up 2 shulker boxes of mud. Two shulkers of mud. In the mess of shulkers, I have a granite and brick shulker box. The last item I need is brown mushroom block, which we can get a bunch here in the forest. And this should do it. I've got plenty of brown mushroom blocks to work with now. I've got a good amount of wheat so we can craft up a ton of packed mud and a bunch of bricks. Getting started on the build, it includes some stairs here, then frame it all in with some trapdoors. The recessed line back here, I want to fill in with a bunch of brick, few terracotta, and granite. I'm going to leave a stone here in the center because I've got an idea for something fun to add in. Starting on the gatehouse structure itself, I want to bring in a bunch of packed mud brick, as well as brown mushroom block to be the main structure of this building. This is looking really good. From here, I want to tackle the upper battlements, where yes, I want to use diorite, a strip of regular, then we finish with polished on top. Oh, I love that. That looks really good. Now, next up for the towers, I'm gonna need something we don't have. So I flew over to the jungle and chopped down a bunch of trees. From here, I want the corner towers to pop out a bit, but still stay within the general color palette, which is where the jungle comes in. First one is now done, and it pops out really well against the mud. And there, both towers are now finished. Next up for the roof, I'd like to start out with some spruce on the corners and some deep slate tile for the rest. And I think that'll work for number 1, with number 2 being the same roof as well. From here, I want to build out the outer walls to the side a touch so I have a better idea of what this looks like. For the top, I want to build in some diorite too. The bricks at the top is working really well over here. Time to bring the second side up. With the walls in on both sides now, I thought we could build out some flags using oxidized copper and prismarine. Topping with some anvils and trapdoors, we got some big ol' fancy flags. From here, since I already know what I want to do with the walls, I'm just gonna get them built up. Next up from here, I want to take a bunch of spruce logs, craft spruce planks for a lot of stairs, because it is time to work on this guy. Fell all the way down. At the top, I want to use a familiar roof pattern that we've done on our starter base, adding a trim out of spruce wood. Moving on to the roof itself, I'd like to bring in some cobbled deep slate. Next up, I'd like to grab some sandstone, a little sand. This should do it for the walls of the top. Starting by taking off the bottom bit, where I can add in some spruce down here instead. Then stripping it all down. With all the stone removed, we can add in a little sandstone. And I think that'll do for some texturing. Next, replacing the floor in the ramparts with just some more packed mud. And we can add a little bit more detail to this face. And there we go. This is looking much better out here now. The front of the gatehouse is looking great, and I am loving the style. The back, however, I can't hide it any longer. Starting out with the top, I want to finish building out the little house up here. Adding in the packed mud base floor, then building out the sandstone structure before adding in an additional simple railing along the back walkway. Since we more have to worry about intruders from the front here, the back of the gatehouse doesn't need to be as intense. And if anything, we somehow lose the gatehouse to the pillagers, we don't want them to have full-on arrow slits when they're firing down upon us. The bottom of the build still remains. Thankfully though, we've got most of the front here that we can base it off of. But with that done, we can come on the inside now and add in some polished granite down here at the base. And I'm thinking we just use some brick, a little granite tossed in, and some terracotta all the way up at the tippity top. There are 2 blocks I still need to replace on the gatehouse itself before we can call the exterior done. That and that. This is going to require 2 lodestones. Each of these requires a netherite ingot. Now I've got plenty of sand, and I can use the gas farm for gunpowder to craft TNT. And we're off to the nether. Back into the old netherite mines. I'm gonna spend 1 hour mining netherite and see how many I can get. One hour later, and we've got ourselves 25 ancient debris. Next, for a quick trip over to the gold farm or rotten flesh farm. But we got all the gold we need. Now, for the first time in way too long, we can use the netherite forge to create netherite scraps, which we can use to create netherite ingots. Next, into the villager trading hall to get some chiseled stone bricks, and we have 2 lodestones that are gonna go right up here. That looks so good with a little bit of a bonus of 4 netherite ingots. Moving focus back to the wall itself, I want to first and foremost make it much skinnier. Probably only 2 blocks tall on the top, so we can move that wall back a few. With that done, I added in all of the blocks along the back edge to finish off the build, leaving only the 2 towers at either side left to build. And I've got all of the stone cleaned up along the edge too. The deep slate trim and everything, however, we'll figure it out when we start working on the town, because there is still plenty left to do out on the front. This city is meant to be a big wow statement. Everything about it is going to be a little over the top, especially when it comes to the entrance. Kudos to the wandering trader for some small drip leaf, but we can finally empty out some of these azalea leaves. Lastly, over to the flower farm for some azure bluets. Adding even further to the shulker monster, where first we actually need a little gate in here. And something decorative like this, I think, is going to work out really well. A little thin, but I think we'll leave it. It'll be okay. Next, we pepper in a little bit of coarse dirt. Otherwise, it looks a little artificial. From here, maybe some mangrove roots. After that, we bring in all of the azalea leaves with some flowering and regulars. Now dotting in some azure bluets in the middle to give that really big pop of flowery color. Lastly, a little bit of bone meal for some tall grass. The idea is this is so lush that nobody has attacked it in a very long time, and nature has kind of taken over. Or it's so fertile from the blood of our enemies. No, it it couldn't be. We're peace-loving people here. With the first section nailed down, I continued to doing that over on the other side of the wall to bring it up to par. A gatehouse really only serves a purpose if people are trying to walk through the area, which means I need a road to show people actually are traveling through this area. It looks like I am going to need a bridge going over this massive hole, which we'll get sorted in a minute. Because right now the road is going to disappear around the mountain, over the bridge, and just kind of over there. But I also want to connect to the river village down here. So we can curve a road coming down the mountain like this. A beautiful path through the countryside, and it's going to look so good, but I'm running into one small problem. I need to link it to the road here, and there's a carrot field in the way. Well, that's not a carrot field anymore. But I think if I shorten up the field along here, this pains me to take away from a field though. I should have just enough space to sneak a path through. Quite literally, just enough. From here, I expanded the roads, adding in slabs and making them all wide enough for carts to travel down. Next, I want to clean up some of these steeper faces and add in some rocks. That's looking much better here for the first section. Now for this one. The entire upper road is now finished up, which leaves just this location down here. And unfortunately, it overhangs. We'll just add a little ledge. That'll be fine. Just this little retaining wall right back here remains, and I thought it would be nice to add in something other than just stone. We're right next to the village, so being a little bit stronger probably makes sense. Back to the two towers on the walls. I'm gonna need a lot more mud brick, because this is not gonna cut it. Good thing I have a lot of wheat fields so I can gather up some wheat and craft some more packed mud. Well, the next field in the box is ready to go, but now I can craft plenty more packed mud. Right, let's get building. Leaving some gaps in the sides of these towers, I want to extend out some turrets. And that should do perfect. Second one is now in place as well. Something tells me there's somebody under the road, which I think is my cue to leave, as I need to gather a ton more spruce wood to build the top of these towers. Spruce tree patch is replanted, and we've got plenty of spruce to work with. I jumped into finishing up the top of the towers, inspired by what you'd find in Age of Empires as a simple top, but to not draw away from the gatehouse itself. This is looking fantastic over here, but now it's time to move all the shulker boxes, as I want to build a small stables and inn outside the city for travelers. Okay, the shulkers did not move very far, but I've been thinking about this for a while and already built and deleted so many things. First, to not interrupt the sight line of our gatehouse. Originally, I had a big building here, so I tore it down, and I'm thinking instead we do a nice carrot field. And then we build the inn all the way back over here. Next to that, we can throw a stables building right back in here for some horses. With a few details added in for the stables, it is finished up. Next up, we can tackle the inn. Changed out the front for some jungle, and I like it even more. Then we could do a nice little flower bed to attract the travelers. A lot of colors in here is going to draw people in. And of course, a big old chimney smoking away. I know I'm working on the inn, but wouldn't a little well right out here just looks so good? The answer is yes. The answer is very much yes, especially when you put water inside it. But okay, maybe a second floor and a roof on this is needed. This build is so fun. Going back to the build style, I started this world with 2,000 days later, and expanding to a new region makes me really excited to move forward on this project. But there we go, the gatehouse, the walls, and now a stables and inn in the front are finished. I still have plenty of work to do out here, but I've run out of time for this video. Otherwise, if I keep working on this video, my wedding that hopefully happened a few days ago should have went through, or it's really awkward right now. Hopefully there's a happy post on Twitter, right? Yay for working ahead. But now I've really got to go so I can help do things. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment below on what part of the city you think I should focus on next, or what we should add out here in general. This world is looking fantastic. But with that, I'll catch y'all on the fWhip side.